Jonas, I guess if you take a look at the business that's being done here coming out of the mainland, that this trend was inevitable.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, this is a long-standing shift that's been happening over the, really since over the past 20 years. More and more business in Hong Kong is mainland focused. You mentioned big IPOs, for example. So it's better to have mainland bankers handle these deals. There's also much more talent now coming from the mainland, with many having gone to top-notch schools abroad. But there's a second, more immediate reason for why we're seeing this shift, and which has picked up over the last couple of years, is because of the protests and the enactment of the security law. Mainland firms and even foreign banks have in fact become more reluctant to hire local Hong Kongers.
Yeah, so that's a factor. Well, you've named a couple of factors there that are driving this change. What does it mean then for Hong Kong bankers? To what extent are other jobs being moved out of Hong Kong right now?
Well, what we're seeing, at least in investment banking, is that Morgan Stanley, UBS, for example, and Credit Suisse are also shifting investment banking jobs to China, and this is likely to accelerate as the mainland opens its financial markets this year. There's simply less reason for the big global banks to have people in Hong Kong when they can place them in Shanghai or Beijing, where they're seeking to rapidly build out their operations to go after massive amounts of investment banking, securities dealings, and everything in China, as well as wealth management.
What about the tax regime changes we've seen in China as well? Well, what we saw earlier this part of the year, where they're imposing possible taxes on offshore income for Chinese residents as well. Is that likely going to impact where some of these Chinese investment bankers go?
We've already seen they've taken some measures, I think, in Hong Kong to mitigate that. But we're already seeing some mainland bankers who were living in Hong Kong, for example, looking at moving back to the mainland. And I mean, that could be a small silver lining for local Hong Kong bankers, in the sense that they can compete better for the jobs that remain here in the city.